Quick caveat before this video, the sound quality through a lot of it is garbage. I was working with a new setup. I didn't kind of account for the fact that the camera is next to some motors, and I had a freezer that was broken and making noise, so apologies for that. Hopefully this bit sounds better. Next one will sound much better. This one, it is what it is. And then we'll see whether or not I can rescue it. It's me, Geek, and I'm Dan. Remember how I was tidying? Yeah, well, that's not been going so well, but through movie magic. Now that's better. A little bit better anyway. Enough to be getting on with this little project. So this is a steel playing card case which I etched with patterns on the sides to match the deck of cards that I keep in there. Now the etch isn't perfect, but you get the idea. Oh, there we go. Now the one problem with using steel for this is I've been struggling to give it a finish where I keep the naked steel without it tarnishing. So I'm going to have a go at doing this again, but with stainless steel, and this time etching with an acid. So this time I'll be etching with an acid because stainless steel you can't electro etch. But basically the simple procedure, hopefully, is cut the panels, TIG weld them together, grind out a little notch, and hopefully get the measurements right for a deck of cards. Now last time I made it a little too tight, and so it holds the deck of cards perfectly if that deck is not also in a cardboard case, but it does seem like it's scratching the surface of the cards a little. So this time I'm going to try and make it a little bit bigger to take a deck inside of a cardboard protective case. Let's go over to the welding bench and look at the steel. So here's my stainless steel. First things first, I want to mark it up, cut out some panels. I'm probably going to use the old work zone bandsaw for that. So let's get this marked up. Has this protective side, which I think will be good for marking and cutting, and then I'll have to peel it off before we get to the welding. Okay. So, I think broadly we just want something like that. Give myself a little bit, same on the back side. So what I'll do is I'll plan to weld the tops and the bottoms inside. Is that true? No, I'll weld the tops and the bottoms on the outside to give myself exactly this much space on the inside. Should be a snug fit, but a fit. Now obviously I did think that one of the things I could do is mark this out to fold as much as possible, but I'm not really into folding metal yet. That is a future thing. Definitely want to get into metal benders and metal rigs and all that kind of stuff. But for now we're just going to cut everything and weld it. We'll see, I'm playing with transitions with this whole camera rig thing. We'll see how that looks as well. I think I'll do all the cutting. We'll come back when I'm done with that. There we go. Now we just need to weld it all up. This is probably the time to take this backing off. Although it'd be really good if I could leave the backing on, because then I could just probably, I reckon I could laser cut away what I wanted to etch. Should I do that? Maybe I'll try laser cutting off the backing to see what I want to etch, then weld it all together. So I ran the job on this piece of wood just so that I could position then accurately, because I've already cut the panels to size. It's pretty important that I get this close to where I want it. So I think what I want is closer to one edge. You can hopefully get an idea of what we're doing here. The question is whether or not I can delicately pick off the panels and leave behind the protective parts that I want. It's going to be a little bit delicate on the smaller ones, but I'm hoping that these bigger ones will be fairly straightforward. I also kind of don't want to scratch the surface too badly, although I guess it's going to be etched anyway. I was worried I wouldn't be able to get into some of these small details without pulling off the tiny parts, but it's not too bad, and I've obviously done half of it now, so I'll do the rest of it. You'll come back when we're on to the second part. I can't remember where I left you. I was going to cut things. I ended up laser etching. Also a picture of the laser. Basically, before peeling off the protective layer, I decided to laser my pattern in, do the etching first, and then the welding, because I love disappointment. So when I inevitably screwed this up at the welding stage, I'll have had more work invested in it at that point. So that'll be fun. This has been etching for like an hour. I don't really know how long this needs to take, so what I'm going to do is take the panel which will be the spine, which has my logo on it, and just check. So see how this is getting on. Just wanted to clean this off, and then the problem with this sort of technique when you're etching, like, it's difficult to tell how much you've etched, if you've etched, and unfortunately there's kind of no way to get a good feel of it unless you actually take all of your stuff off, at which point you're screwed. You can't put it back in again. Okay, so let's do it all. Your resist material stuck to your gloves as you take this stuff out. But look at that. Okay. Let me just give that. It's a pretty nice, even etch. Score 1 for chemical etching. Let's see what it looks like for the other panels. That is a beautiful, crisp etch. I think it's got all of the details. Maybe got a little bit fuzzy on the cogs of the smallest detail there, but that is lovely. I'm a little annoyed that I blew the masking along this edge here. It's going to be difficult to make that shiny again whilst retaining the card outline. But that said, I'm also probably going to blow this whole thing when I weld these together, so There we are. Anyway, that can go there. So again, look at how beautiful that is. You get that nice cog detail in the pips has come through. Ooh. Now if I can manage to make this thing without destroying it, then it's going to be epic. So that bit went amazingly. Chemical etch, much nicer than an electro etch, or at least based on my experiments. Very clean. Stainless steel looks amazing. It's going to be very fingerprint-tastic. I'm going to take some pictures because I have a horrible feeling I'm going to destroy it now. I have done some practice and it could go okay, but this is very thin steel and one false move and I'm just going to end up blowing holes in it. But let's see if we can do it. So what we have is the front plate, or actually, yeah, the back plate in this case, is clamped to a roll of aluminium blocks for cooling, and then the spine is being held in place with this magnet. I'm going to try and tack that in place, hopefully without completely horribly melting everything. Now I did a quick test. I did do a quick test earlier. You can see this from that distance. So I did a quick test on a couple of pieces earlier, and I did indeed blow holes through the corners. But I dialed it down to the point that I was pretty happy with, so hopefully I've got the power settings right. So that's tacked the back panel in place. It was about this point in proceedings where I actually ran out of argon gas, and it was near the end of the weekend anyway, so I put everything aside and a whole week passed. I got some more argon. I actually started welding again before I turned the cameras on, and things did not go well to begin with. But we resume our story after I've calmed down a little bit and figured out that maybe there was a way forward. So this kind of looks like a mess right now. This is after I've done at least some cleanup, enough cleanup to kind of convince myself that I think I can save it. Honestly, when I started and just blew holes through it and generally messed around, I thought this whole video project was dead, because I didn't particularly wish to do a fail video. It may yet be, I guess. This front panel is not actually welded in yet, it's just held by tension, so I still need to weld these seams and clean up some other stuff. So the plan at this point, I knew this was going to be a problem with having put a lot of effort into it before I even started welding, and welding thin steel is tricky, and I'm only a beginner. I have no idea what I'm doing. So anyway, what we're going to do is I'll weld the rest. I might show you how terrible it looks at the point just as I finished welding, whatever blobby mess I make of it. Grinding and sanding and kind of smoothing. At least at the moment, the deck does fit inside, and it's about the right kind of fit. So hopefully I can bring it home. Let's find out. So these are some aluminium chunks that it's always very awkward to try and position them. The idea is to kind of back behind these thin sheets as a heat sink. It's not been very effective, but it's better than nothing. semi-welded. There's a few bits and bobs here that haven't really gone well. Better than earlier. Bring this closer. So you can kind of see the frustration, which is anytime you get close to an edge, it just wants to blow and melt away from the joint. This, believe it or not, is one of the more successful edges that I've welded. It didn't take a huge amount, and that's the result. So I'm just going to do that across a couple more lines, and we'll see if I can repair this edge at some point. You can see where something similar happened on that corner actually. You see it's eaten in. Corners and edges are a nightmare. So there you see, this is the kind of horrible mess I was talking about. Like, look at the state of that. That is, ugh. So part of that was that the aluminium backing wasn't holding in place, and so I was having to add filler like crazy to try and keep the joint from just melting horribly back. And that ended a blobby mess because I'm rubbish at that, obviously. But trust me, this is going to look good by the end of this video, and you know that because I probably would not release the video if it's a total failure. Probably. So trying something a little bit different with this edge. This is just propped on here at an angle, which hopefully is keeping the aluminium backer pressed into that corner that I need it. This edge of the spine is a little proud in the face. This is just going to melt back to become flush. So I'm hoping that I can use that to help form the bead without too much filler. We'll see how that goes. I will have filler ready in case. But let's see. It looks a real mess right now. Keep the faith, grind it away, sand it back, see if we can recover it. So this is what we look like after first pass with the angle grinder and belt sander. It needs a little bit more belt sanding. But as you can see, as horrible as all that blobby, terrible welding of mine looks, you can at least recover most of it. The question is whether or not I can ever get the surface finish back to something I want and deal with the rust and then treat it in a sensible way. Still don't know. Still don't know, but at least it's one small piece of solace for me that even though I'm a terrible welder, the fact that I have an angle grinder allows me to kind of recover a lot of mess. And I have actually, you know, it is stuck together, So there was a weld of material underneath all of that mess. Thin material is really hard. I have done projects that went really easily with thicker material. I'm just a glutton for punishment. Right, so yeah, a bit more work with the belt grinder, and then we'll get into finer sanding. So let's see. So I've been a bit spotty in this video, let's be honest, and part of that has been going through phases where I wasn't sure it was going to work very well, or I wasn't exactly having clear what I was going to finish it, etc. But here we have the finished up. So I've been able to retain the crispness of that etch, and you can kind of hopefully get a better idea of how it matches the design of the cards. It's a little loose for a free deck. I don't actually have a cardboard box for these, but for a deck that has a cardboard case, it's a snug fit, which was kind of the idea. That protects the cards a little bit more. So there you go. That is a custom stainless steel card case. And definitely this morning I thought this was going to be a spectacular failure. It's not as perfect as, you know, I would love it to be, but within the realms of what I am capable of, pretty happy with how this one came out. Clearly I'm no TIG welder, but it's a fascinating machine, and I just, you know, more and more practice is all that's required. For now though, thanks for watching. You've been ace.